What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday night. I hope everyone is feeling good and feeling alright. So, after the debacle that was yesterday's video, I decided to dwell on a lot of the mistakes of my past, and that led me to today's video, which is the 5 mistakes that I have made since I have started playing Langrisser. Now, the first one, this is a big shame. The first one is training. Look at these training levels. This is absolutely pathetic for somebody who has been playing as long as I have. This is a little bit better, but not acceptable. This is bad. This is really bad. A lot of this is because I didn't understand the importance of troops, and a lot of it was I didn't understand... I thought the level was the important thing. I didn't realize that these ratios were what mattered. Like these ratios and these numbers. So that was bad. From the beginning, I wasn't really doing the trainings. I was doing the daily training, and that was it. No other extra stamina usage on anything like that. So, biggest mistake. I'm paying for it now because I can't clear stuff because my troops just don't do damage. They are wet toilet paper. Entirely useless. Now, the second big mistake I made, let's check out my hero pool. So, I have a decent amount of heroes. Quite a few. And actually, let me go over to the gallery because that'll show you a little bit better. Now, I haven't had much luck with the recent heroes, but otherwise, I've got quite a few. So if we go over here, Langrisser Mobile, Chapter 1, complete. Langrisser Mobile, Chapter 2, not even close. Langrisser 1, done. Langrisser 2, done. Langrisser 3, done. Langrisser 4, all but 1, who I pulled for and didn't get. Langrisser 5, pretty decent, but like I have no use for Virash or Brenda, so I'm not really going to pull for them. And then here, so as you can see, you know, later on, I haven't really been pulling on, or haven't had much success with these. And so yeah, I do have a ton of the heroes. So I'm pretty blessed in that regard. But the problem is how I pulled them. I had no rhyme or reason when I started pulling heroes. I pulled them because I liked the way that they looked, not based on any usage. So I would pull on pretty much any banner, right? So I would be like, oh, okay, cool. You know, I obviously want Ares because I know what he does. But I would end up pulling on stuff like this, right? And when I was new to the game. And even now, you'll still catch me pulling on non-rate up banners, which is pretty oh, I'm sorry, on regular rate up banners rather than on the Destiny summons. Destiny summons is the way to fill out your hero pool. Rate up is a lot of RNG. I have not had good luck with this. So just go back to this gallery, I can show you real quick, like, when we did, or when if you watched my stream at the very start of me making content, which there aren't many of you who did, because it wasn't very long-lived, but if you did, you saw my polls for Licorice, Renata, Ares, and Maya. I pulled, and those came out on, obviously, rate-up banners. I don't know how I managed it. I don't know. But I didn't get any of them, despite doing 60 10x pulls across the 2 banners. Now, I did get other SSRs, but they were all dupes. And so that was a mistake that I made a lot early on, was not knowing who to summon for and just kind of summoning. Alright. Third, a big thing is starting late. So, if you haven't heard the story before, I was a day 1 Langrisser player tied to my Apple account. Ran into some financial problems, and I had to sell my phone and go back to using a flip phone for a while, so no Langrisser. But on top of that, so yeah, I've only played 286 days. So I'm not even at a full year of playing the game yet, and the game's been out for a long time. So I had an account, and then eventually when I got a smartphone again, I got an Android because that's what I could afford at the time. And when I used that, I couldn't sign into my Apple ID, so I kind of lost the account. So I had to start all fresh with only a vague memory of how the game worked, and a ton of new mechanics were not invented, not interested. Why can't I remember the word? Introduced, that's the one. Okay. A ton of new mechanics were introduced, and I was so far behind. Like, let's look at rankings, for example. So, on my server, yeah, I'm getting close to top 500, which is pretty cool. I don't know how many of these people are even still active. I'm assuming that's active because it's a newer skin. Newer characters are probably still active. But if we look at, just the power of my units, strongest 5, I'm in the top 500. Woohoo! Let's go to strongest hero. I am still in the top 500, which is pretty cool. I play a lot, but my Yulia is at 7k, right? And that's my highest by quite a bit. This guy at the very top is almost 2k above me. Like, that's insane. That's probably a day 1 player. And probably a whale too, but being so far behind has definitely not helped. Now, the next mistake that I made, well, I touched on this a little bit, but just like pulling on any hero, but specifically not paying attention to factions and not understanding how those worked. So, like, now that I've gotten more heroes, they're filled in, but originally, the team that I ran for the longest time was Yulia, Leon, Leanna, Freya, and why can't I remember the other one? Oh, and Sonya, right? And so, yeah, Leon and Sonya are both Empire's Honor, so they're both gonna buff each other, right? I didn't understand you had to carry a faction buff. And I did run Shelfaniel, so I did have the princess one. So, like, yeah, that did stack on a number of those people, but I didn't quite get how it worked. And I didn't draw for those. I drew for whoever I thought was cool, and, like, whoever was going to be PvP. And so when I grabbed Landius, I was like, cool, I'm going to grab the other people in that faction. But, like, they're not built up at all. So, cool, yeah, I have a Rachel, and I have a Listel, but they're not built up. They're weak, so I went nuts grabbing as many heroes as I could without any thought whatsoever to building them up and how they worked with my team as they were. So that's something that you want to make sure. Like, go ahead and think to yourself, do these when you draw, am I drawing just to collect, or am I drawing to actually make my account better? It's okay if you just want to collect, but if your goal is to be stronger, I'd recommend focusing where you pull and who you pull for. And the last mistake is one that I continue to make. And this is not challenging harder content. So if we go into the Anarchies, I just finished the 70s, but on Valen and Rocky, I still actually can't beat those. But for the longest time, these were hard to me, so I just stayed at the level 50s, even when I was at level 70. Bonding Realm, same deal. I just cleared up to 65 on each. I'm still struggling with the 70s because my troops are so useless because I didn't clear the challenging parts. Goddess Trial, let's take a look. Yeah, Thunder Dragon, I'm only at 60. I don't really have the troops to take on 65. And some of that's also like, I just want to sweep level 60, take my 50 ore, and call it a day instead of fighting for that 60. But the worst is Eternal Temple. So I pretty much sat on my laurels after clearing 55 for each of them. I haven't even attempted 60, 65, or 70. despite being a much stronger account than when I cleared this. So this is my hidden shame, if you will, and something I need to work on. And for me too, the Timeless Trials, I didn't do anything in those. So I was giving up weeks of 300 crystals, and I can clear SS pretty regularly right now. There's a few weeks that, depending on what the law is, I struggle with because of my limited unit buildup. But for the majority of the time, there's no reason why I shouldn't get the S trial, and no reason why, or most of the time, I shouldn't have the SS. So I've been dropping a lot of rewards, because first off, I forgot about them, and didn't do them for a long time, and then I didn't challenge myself to get better at them. And the last bit of shame, because it is oh so shameful, my Ancient Beckoning scores are rough. I don't even know if I'm ranked in this, in Hugin and Munin. I don't think I've ever done them. Like, if I get an E+, that's a good day. Yeah, let's go to the achievement list. Yeah, my highest on Hugin and Munin was a D. And those are the classes that I have the best units in. So that's pretty bad. I've never done Sleipnir. I got an E+ on Fenrir. And a D+ on Nidhogg. So I've never done Sleipnir. This is a problem. I am not going to get stronger. I complain about how my account feels stagnant, and it's because I'm not doing the material. So those are the 5 mistakes. So if you haven't made them, great. But if you feel like you're in a lull, you feel like there's nothing to do, you feel like you need to challenge yourself more, learn from my mistakes. If you're thinking about picking up the game and wondering, wow, there's so much content, where do I start? Well, this is a great example of where you don't start. Don't do what I did. Alright, well, thank you for watching. I know this was a little bit of a ramble, but I wanted to give you some idea of what not to do when you play Langrisser. I'm glad that if I could be an example to anyone, it's just this great example of failure. Because, you know, you can turn your failure into success. There's time for me to correct these mistakes, but if you don't make them in the first place, you're going to be in a better spot than I am. Thanks again for watching. I will be uploading tomorrow with a 7 Deadly Sins video, and I will see you next time.